everybody. Hello everybody. This is Harpreet Kaur from English Rock Club, and today I have come up with third chapter of the book Flamingo under Ncert publication, whose title is Deep Water. So without wasting any time, let's proceed. So let's look at the title of the chapter. So here we can find out that in this particular video, in this particular chapter, there is a person who is seen drowning at the top of the heading of the chapter. Look at here. So the person is trying to save himself, is shouting for help, and so let us see what we have about the author in this chapter. So let's read about who has written this chapter. So this chapter is written by William Douglas, who was born in 1898 and who died in 1980. He was born in Maine, Minnesota, after graduating with a Bachelor's of Arts in English and Economics. He spent 2 years teaching in a high school in Yakima. However, he got tired of this and decided to pursue a legal career. He met Franklin D. Roosevelt at Yale and became an advisor and friend to the president. Douglas was a leading advocate of individual rights. He retired in 1975 with a term lasting 36 years and remains the longest serving justice in the history of the court. The following excerpt is taken from Of Men and the Mountains by William Douglas. It reveals how, as a young boy, William Douglas nearly drowned in swimming pool. In this essay, he talks about his fear of water and thereafter, how he finally overcome it. Notice how autobiographical part of the selection is used to support his discussion of fear. So this is an autobiographical element. We have an autobiographical element in this piece of writing, which is taken from the book Of Men and the Mountain, and it is written by William Douglas, in which William Douglas is talking about his fear of water, which he developed when he was a child, and what happened, what was the effect of that fear on him, and how he tried to eradicate that fear. Let us read the text now. It happened when I was 10 or 11 years old. So the author was a teenager, or he was in his early teens. I had decided to learn to swim. There was a pool at YMCA in Yakima. So he was living in Yakima, and there was a pool at YMCA that offered exactly the opportunity. What about the opportunity? So that had a swimming pool, and it offered training in swimming. Okay, so he had the opportunity to in YMCA pool, and he wanted to grab that opportunity. But there was river Yakima also near his home. The Yakima river was treacherous. Mother continually warned against and kept afresh in my mind the details of each drowning in the river. Okay, so although there was a river, but he was not advised to go and swim in the river, as the river was treacherous. The water flow was never the same, and there were a lot of drowning incidents in the river. So his mother did not allow him to swim in the river. But YMCA pool was safe. It was only 2 to 3 feet at the 2 to 3 feet at the shallow end, and while it was 9 feet deep at the other end. The drop was gradual. So YMCA pool, if we talk about YMCA pool, so it was 2 to 3 feet on the shallow, the end that was shallow, and the deeper end was 9 feet, and that this drop was gradual. Okay, so it was not steep like this, it had a gradual drop. Okay, getting. Okay, so let's proceed further. Okay, so I got a pair of water wings and went to the pool. I hated to walk naked into it and show my skinny legs. So this shows that Douglas was quite thin. He was quite skinny. He was quite skinny. Okay, but I subdued my pride and did it. But he ultimately he undressed him and got into his shorts and he got ready for the swimming. From the beginning, however, I had an aversion to the water when I was in it. This started when I was 3 or 4 years old and father took me to beach in California. So here we are getting how Douglas developed aversion to water, how he developed aversion to water. So this is an important question, short note also. Okay, how he developed aversion, that is fear for water. Okay, remember aversion will be taking the preposition that is to. Okay, so he is narrating a story of his childhood and he is taking us to flashback again. Right now the author was talking about YMCA swimming pool, and he has when he was around 10 to 12 years, and he is taking us back when he was around 3 years old. This started when I was 3 or 4 years old and father took me to beach in California. He and I stood together in surf. I hung on to him, yet the waves knocked me down and swept over me. I was buried in water. The breath was gone. I was frightened. Father laughed, but there was terror in my heart at the overpowering force of the waves. Okay, so it happened that he was on the beach, and the beach, we had waves that are moving up, moving always, and while he was standing on the beach with his father, he was holding his father tightly, but still that wave swept him and he got into the water. So this incident had a great frightening experience for him, that he could not go into water after that. Let's move further. My introduction to YM swimming pool revived unpleasant memories and stirred childish fear. Okay, so what happened when he went to YM swimming pool? He looked at the water and he started remembering that time when he was drowned at California beach. But in a little while, I gathered confidence. I paddled with my new water wings, watching the other boys and trying to learn by aping them. I did this 2 or 3 times on different days and was just beginning to feel at ease in the water when a misadventure happened. So gradually, initially, when he went there to the pool, he was a little scared. So he tried to overpower his scare. He was scared first of all, and then he tried to overpower his scare, his fear, and he started feeling at ease. But a misadventure again made him, feel have the fear of water. Now let us just find out what was the misadventure, which the author explains in the preceding paragraphs. So this is that one. I went to pool when no one else was there. The place was quiet, the water was still, the tiled bottom was as white as and clean as bathtub. I was timid about going in alone, so I sat on the side of the pool and waited for others. So one day he went there, the water was in the pool was clear. Okay, so he saw the clear water, and he was afraid of going into the water all alone, because there was nobody else there in the swimming pool while he was waiting there. So he thought of waiting for some time, let the others also join. I had not been there long. In came a big bruiser of a boy, probably 18 years in old. He had thick hair on his chest. He was a beautiful physical specimen with legs and arms that showed rippling muscles. He yelled, "Hi, Skinny, how would you like to be dunked?" Okay, so this is a boy. Generally some elder boys, they try to frighten the younger boys, and they just want to have fun with the younger boys. In the same manner, this boy also wanted to have some fun with Douglas, who was younger to him. And before Douglas could reply anything, something happened. With that, he picked me up and tossed me into the deep end. I landed in the sitting position, swallowed water, and went at once to the bottom. I was frightened, but not yet frightened out of my wits. On the way down, I planned when my feet hit the bottom, I would make a big jump, came to the surface, lie flat on it, and paddle to the edge of the pool. So before he could say anything, he was thrown into the water and he landed in sitting position. So while he was very frightened, while he was going down, but he was not frightened out of wits. That means he was still active in his mind, although he was frightened, but still he had the active mind. So here in these lines, his planning to save, how he would like to save himself, are mentioned here. So his strategy was that when he would be touching the bottom of the pool, he would make a big jump and he will come at the surface, and there he would lie flat and paddle to the edge of the pool, and he will be saving himself by swimming to the edge of the pool. But actually it did not happen. It seemed a long way down. Those 9 feet were more than like 90. And before I touched the bottom, my legs were ready to burst. He was completely tired. His legs were not responding. But when my feet hit the bottom, I summoned all my strength and made what I thought was the great spring upward. I imagined I would bob to the surface like a cock. Okay, so he said that 9 feet were very long for him at that time. It seemed as if he was going down for 90 feet, and when he touched, his lungs were ready to burst. That means he was not having quite air. He was not getting air in the water, and he was not able to breathe. Okay, he was not able to breathe. Okay, he was short of breath. But he was conscious at mind, and he remembered his strategy and he tried to use that strategy. But he imagined that he would be coming out on the surface like a cork, as if you are just opening the bottle and the cork springs out of the bottle due to the pressure. He thought that he would also spring out on the surface of the water. Instead, I came up slowly, but the strategy, what he thought, did not work. I opened my eyes and saw nothing but water. Water that had a dirty yellow tinge to me. Now the same water was clear when he was sitting outside the pool, but now this water is having dirty yellow tinge because he was not able to visualize properly because of lack of oxygen in his lungs. His brain was responding less. I grew panicky. I reached up as if to grab the rope, and my hands clutched only at water. I was suffocating. I tried to yell, but no sound came out. Then my eyes and nose came out of the water, but not my mouth. Okay, so he tried to look for the things that would save him, the rope, and he could get only water. He was suffocating, he was not getting breath, and he tried to call for help, to shout for help, but nothing came out of his mouth. Okay, no sound was produced by his mouth. And his eyes and nose came out of the water, but not his mouth. His mouth was still in the water. I peeled at the surface of the water, swallowed and choked. I tried to bring my legs up, but they hung as dead weights, paralyzed and rigid. A great force was pulling me under. I screamed, but only the water heard me. I started on a long journey back to the bottom of the pool. So this is the second time he was going down in the bottom to the bottom of the pool. I struck at the water as I went down, expanding my strength as one in the nightmare fights an irresistible force. I had lost all my breath, my lungs ached, my head throbbed, I was getting dizzy, but I remembered the strategy. So he was feeling he was getting into a little unconscious condition. Okay, and he was feeling dizzy also. He was not able to see properly. He was feeling, I mean, as if he was about to sleep. But even at this hour, he remembered his strategy. He would spring from the bottom of the pool and come out like a cork to the surface. And he would lie flat on the water, strike out with my arms and crash my legs. Then I would get to the edge of the pool and be safe. Still, his mind was a little active, although he was getting unconscious, but still his mind was active that he remembered his strategy. I went down, down endlessly. I opened my eyes, nothing but water with yellow glow. Dark water that one could not see through. So the transparency of water was gone as he was not able to see through the water due to the falling into unconsciousness. And then sheer, stark terror seized me. Terror that knows no understanding. Terror that knows no control. Terror that no one can understand who has not experienced it. I was shrinking underwater. I was paralyzed underwater, stiff, rigid with fear. Even the screams in my throat were frozen. Only my heart and the pounding of in my head said that I was still alive. Okay? So now what happened when he was not able to come out, he was terrorized. He was terrorized that he might not be able to come out, and this made him his body paralyzed. It became stiff, rigid, and everything was, I mean, he was just going to lose control over his limbs. And then in the midst of the terror came a touch of reason. I must remember to jump. When I hit the bottom, at last I felt the tiles under me. My toes reached out as if to grab them. I jumped with everything I had. But still, even in this condition, he remembered his strategy. And when the time was to use the strategy, he was able to use the strategy. But unfortunately, the jump made no difference. The water was still around me. I looked for ropes, ladders, water wings, nothing but water. A mass of yellow water held me. Dark terror took an even deeper hold on me, like a great charge of electricity. I shook and trembled with fright. My arms wouldn't move. My legs wouldn't move. I tried to call for help, to call for mother. Nothing happened. So here again, he is getting unconscious. I mean, when he is trying to, he has used his strategy and he's trying to look for the things that would help him to come on the water, but he could not get anything. So he was again captured by the terror, and it had a deeper hold on him now, as if he is being charged by the electricity, and he was trembling with fear, and he was not able to move his arms, legs, his body parts. And what he wanted to do, he wanted to call his mother, but he was not able to say anything. And then strangely there was light. I was coming out of the awful yellow water. At least my eyes were. My nose was almost out too. So he felt as if he is out of the water. Then he started down for the third time. This is his third journey, time downwards. He sucked for air and got water. The yellowish light was going out. He was getting more unconscious. Then all effort ceased. So he stopped every effort he was doing, that was stopped. I relaxed. Even my legs felt limp, and a blackness swept over my brain. It wiped out fear, it wiped out terror. There was no more panic. It was quiet and peaceful. Nothing to be afraid of. This is nice to be drowsy, to go to sleep. No need to jump. Too tired to jump. It's nice to be carried gently, to float along the space. Tender arms around me, tender arms like mothers. Now I must go to sleep. I crossed the oblivion and the curtain of life fell. So, right here, the author is describing his feelings where he was being, overpowered by the terror. He was, I mean, there is the point when something is disturbing you, there comes a point that disturbance is reduced and that relaxation is felt. So he was feeling drowsy, he was feeling peaceful at mind, as if he was going for a prolonged and longer sleep, as if he was in his mother's arm and he was going for a sleep. And he has crossed to oblivion. That means the narrow line between the life and the death. He was about to cross that, and he felt that the curtain of life fell, that his end has drawn near. So that is all for today. And in this part of the video lesson, we will be finding out in the next part that whether Douglas was saved or not, whether he was able to enjoy his life fearlessly without and having any fear of water. And if you like the video, kindly give a thumbs up, and if you haven't subscribed yet, kindly give a subscription, hit that subscription button. Bye for now. See you in the next video in part 2 of the explanation video of the deep water part 2. Bye for now.